FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The Hits Back is sponsored by the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, Burger King, Fidelity Bank Bahamas, and J.S. Johnson.
Good afternoon, Bahamas. How are you? My name is Heather Hunt, and I'm so pleased to be the host and the guest host today on the Hit Back. I've been fortunate to be brought on to host conversations of national importance today, Wednesday, and for the next several Wednesdays. And I agreed to come on to this show every Wednesday prior to myself and my husband and my business and family becoming matters of national discussion. So it's so ironic that my first day on the temporary host job on the Hit Back, I'm actually here on a day when I'm personally the topic of conversation. Unfortunately, that's not the topic of the show today. I have two dynamic guests who will be with me today. Two ladies, Mrs. Charlene Paul, who is the president of the Bahamas chapter of the Caribbean Women in Leadership Organization. And later on in the show, we're going to hear from renowned social activist Candy Gibson. She is the director of Family of All Murder Victims. So we expect to have lively conversation with these two ladies relative to the work of both of their organizations. And later on, maybe next week or another time, we get to discuss issues that I may wish to talk, that others may wish to speak about reference to me. But before we get into the guests, I do want to say I would welcome callers. I'm excited to be here on the Hit Back. Unfortunately, I can speak about any other thing except myself. And so I apologize in advance if anyone's disappointed that I don't get to engage in too much self-defense today. All right, so today we're talking about NGOs and we're talking about civic organizations in the Bahamas. We all know that we've come through the worst and a very difficult pandemic over the last 2.5 years. We are all navigating into what has become the new normal. And the question I have posed to these two ladies, these phenomenal ladies this afternoon, how are NGOs and civic organizations in the Bahamas engaging with the community and society and helping us to navigate through a new normal? What does that new normal look like? What are the ideas that we should be putting forward? What are organizations doing to help society move along and navigate? And so that is our topic of discussion today, ladies and gentlemen. And the first guest, like I said, is Mrs. Charlene Paul. She is a chartered certified accountant. She is presently the Chief Internal Auditor of Bank of the Bahamas Limited. She is currently the chairperson of Caribbean Women in Leadership Bahamas, the Bahamas National Chapter. She has been serving in that capacity since November 2019. And so in her roles as both a professional and a very accomplished professional, and in her role as a very prominent leader in civil society, I do wish to thank her for coming in and having this discussion with us. And so, Mrs. Paul, it's so good to have you here with us.
Thank you, Heather. Good to be here. Good afternoon, Bahamas.
Well, let me congratulate you. Firstly, you've been recently reelected to the chairperson position of CWIL. If you could give the audience just a brief and, idea and introduction of, what CWIL is, what do you do, and some of the other officers that were recently elected.
So, Caribbean Women in Leadership is a very prominent organization whose mission really is about women leadership, gender equity, and promoting and ensuring that women get to participate in leadership and decision making. And that's through advocacy, through education, through building capacity for women to actually do those things. CIVIL, that's the acronym for it, has been in the Caribbean region for more than 20 years. We would have, as you indicated, we would have just launched in the Bahamas in 2019, December 2019. We are also represented in Belize, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Kitts and Nevis, Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda. And so we are a growing organization with the mandate to see to women increase in leadership around the Caribbean. So our newly elected officers for this new term, we are so excited. Robin Dawn Lines is our deputy chair. Jewel Edwards is our public relations officer. Cherise Cox Nottage, our secretary, and Sheena Culmer, our treasurer. And those of you who know those individuals would know that we have a bipartisan, multi-partisan representation, and that's who CIVIL is. We're nonpartisan, we're for all parties, and we actually welcome those with political endeavors, because after all, that's what we need to run the country.
That's correct. Well, speaking of what CIVIL is and what CIVIL does, how have you been engaging as an organization? I mean, I'm privy to some of the things that you've been doing. I'm proud to have been recently added to the membership of CIVIL. But for folks out there who are not very familiar with the work of the organization, how have you been engaging as a civil organization with government or with other NGOs? I know you have strong partnerships throughout civil society. How have you found working with other civil organizations and the government, especially in the context, like I said before, what engagement are you finding as an organization helping society and helping us as Bahamians navigate into this new normal post-COVID?
So when we talk about this new normal, one of the fundamental pillars of it is good governance, transformational leadership, and participation. In any organization, and countries around the world are recognizing that these are the pillars to really build and go forward in the new. And so CIVIL would have been involved hugely in building capacity among women to say, hey, you can do this, particularly as it comes to political leadership. So we would have encouraged many women. We would have had training early last year, not even aware that we were going to have a snap election called, but we prepared women. We had more than 300 women register, attend our training sessions, and we're so pleased that we have had those in large numbers this year, raise the hand, come forward against lots of odds, lots of obstacles, to say, here am I, signing up for duty. And in fact, just a couple of Fridays ago, we were so pleased as we visited Grand Bahama for the CIVIL Grand Bahama pinning ceremony. In our meetings with the Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie, it was just such a pleasing moment when she said, CIVIL was that organization, that training that gave me that final push and nudge that, yes, I can do this. And so we are very proud of the women who stepped forward and those who have been successful, and more so those who are now in cabinet positions.
Yes, well, you were one of those 300 women yourself, Mrs. Paul, and I want to, commend you publicly for offering for, public service as a member of Parliament. It's not an easy task. I've done it before, and you enter the fray and you open yourself up to the scrutiny that comes along with running for office. But would you want to share a little bit about how that experience was? And I know this wasn't your first time, but just for the women out there who may be thinking about it, if you could share a little bit about that experience.
Absolutely. So, mine was a late decision this time around, and I too got that nudge and push that, walk the talk. We talk
Exactly.
about wanting to see change, wanting more, to encourage persons with the capacity and ability to come forward for leadership. And so I raised my hand and I said, here am I, send me. The journey was interesting, but I'm glad I did it. The walkabouts, the door-to-door campaigning, there's nothing like that to really get a feel for what the public is thinking, their needs, the cry. And so that was, very rewarding, very fulfilling. And actually it helps me now even more so in my continuing public work. Yes, it comes with the additional level of scrutiny, et cetera, and of course the fear that people are going to just pull you apart or say mean things or second guess why you're doing it. Hey, listen, if leaders were to listen to the naysayers, then nothing would get done. But I also was very motivated by the words of Sir Arthur Folkes addressing the majority rule celebrations a few years back. And that was, I think, the last celebration that, in fact, Dr. Miles Monroe would have attended as well. And it resonated with me what he said. He said that it is only through the messiness of politics that civic society progresses and moves forward. And unfortunately, that's the pathway. And so those who would say, oh, I can't get involved with that, that's too messy, well, then you're condemning our society to not change, not grow, not develop. But those of us, transformational leaders that we seek to prepare, are those who say, you know what? I will enter the fray, stay focused on the high calling, because it is a high calling to lead.
Yes, indeed. Well, speak to me a little bit about what this transformational leader looks like that we need. I know there are, many theories, and I know it is a subject that you speak about passionately, and I've heard you very often. But for persons out there that may not understand exactly what you're saying when you say that, what are the attributes of that transformational leader?
Excellent, because more than ever, Heather, the world is crying out for transformational leaders. And oftentimes, I think in the past, we used to put a lot of emphasis on competence in terms of persons with degrees or persons with higher education.
And personality.
Huge on personality, able to win the electorate over, persuade people with flowery words and, should I say, huge promises. But today, we are seeing that those things, those characteristics really do not matter as much as integrous leadership.
Right.
Leadership, persons with character, meaning what I say and what I do are in alignment. Who I am in public, who I am in private are in alignment. And so that honest, authentic, transparent, accountable leader is who persons are asking for, crying for. And we hear a lot now that, there is this cry of moral authority. And so sometimes persons used to, use the phrase, well, what I do in my private life is my private life. Well, no, not really. If you're going to have moral authority, then your ethics definitely must be unquestionable. And so that's the basis for transformational leadership. And then we add the competence, because you've got to be able to bring solutions. You've got to be able to lead so others can follow. You've got to know where you're going. And at least, I think not so much that you have all the answers, because again, transformational leadership is about being collaborative, being open, being receptive, and working together. So it's not you as the politician having all the answers and marching on and just come follow me. Well, really, it's about collaborating with the rest of the stakeholders as well.
Yes, and I know it's not, all those characteristics are not gender specific, but you are, as chairman of CWIL, tasked with advocating for equal or proportionate representation. So, in your mind or in your experience, and I guess perhaps what may come in the future for CWIL, how is your organization intentionally seeking to, I guess, recruit and train these, transformational leaders? I guess in general, but really I'm speaking about, the female parliamentarians, future parliamentarians that your group would be seeking to recruit.
So when we talk about good governance, when we talk about participatory governance, when we talk about growth and development, it is impossible in this 21st century to achieve that without talking about gender equity, without talking about representation from all of society. Women make up 50% of our society, and that's generally across the world. And I don't think that's coincidental. I think that's divine, actually. And so if women make up that proportion of society, then we've got to be at the decision-making table so that women issues can be properly represented. And here's the thing. Women issues are not just women about women. Women issues are national issues. They represent an issue of 50% of your stakeholders, 50% that in the Bahamas, hugely responsible for your households. In the Bahamas, we know more than 70% of our households are ran by single mothers. And so if you're going to impact the family in the Bahamas, then you've got to be talking about having women represented. What we have found, Heather, is particularly here in the Bahamas, I think we've moved the bar past being able to attract qualified, competent, transformational women. We've seen in the last election, we attracted a goodly number of those. And so CWIL's work now to continue is twofold. One, to help our political parties embrace, recognize, and be responsible from a constitutional perspective in having the representation of women constitutionalized. And even so, if you have to do so by quotas, to ensure that there is this proper representation, balanced gender representation. And so we've, done a number of things with political parties. We've sent communications to their leaders. We've formed a task force willing and working to help draft those amendments, the necessary amendments to political parties' constitutions. The second area is really helping our Bahamian public to understand, to be aware, to embrace the need for women to be properly represented at the decision-making table in those political arenas. And so the public at large would be not so much second-guessing whether or not a woman is capable or able. We have to move past that. We've shown capacity and ability in so many other arenas, and the political arena is no different. So those are where CWIL is focusing our attention to move this forward and to really help our nation.
Good. Well, you gave me so many, good nuggets there, but I want to just take you back. You said that you recently went to Grand Bahama and had your pinning ceremony. I'd like to know, is there an outreach for the wider family islands? I know sometimes in civil society and just generally speaking, we are very Nassau-centric. And it may not, it may not be intentional for most organizations, but it's just the state we find ourselves in at some point, at this point, that a lot of decisions and the course and track of organizations is based in Nassau, with the exception of some of the very large organizations that we know have a reach in most islands. But is there, what type of outreach or what type of connectivity do you have on the Family Islands? Any of your members from the Family Islands? Can you just let us know how what some call the rural women are included in your organization?
Absolutely. And that's a good point, because inclusion, we talked about participatory governance. We have been very intentional in including our Family Islands. And so CWIL's reach, and thank God for Zoom. And thank God, this reset really has helped us, really enabled us to be able to serve our members in the various Family Islands. So we have members from Grand Bahama, Abaco, Eleuthera, Andros, And so going to Grand Bahama was intentional. We wanted to send the message that we are not Nassau-centric, and we want to engage our Family Islands, because our Family Island women, and even as our good minister has shown, are well capable of stepping up to the plate and being able to fulfill and fill national roles. And so, yes, we're very intentional. Our training is all total Bahamas inclusive, and we've been able to, attract those members, get them involved in what we're doing, give them roles in our committees. In fact, our last term, we had a committee with a specific focus on the Family Island. So this is all, and we were the only chapter actually who had such a focus in CWIL. So absolutely, that's part of our intention.
Yeah, so what I'd like to know, and you touched on, Zoom being, one of the new wonderful creations or things that we've grown accustomed to in light of the pandemic and the new normal. But can you tell me your opinion? How are civic organizations in the country and NGOs, in your opinion, are they engaging enough or advocating enough for some of these new habits we've formed, right? Are they doing enough to assist the society and the government into making them a part of our everyday life? For example, remote learning. There was a lot of conversation about get children back into school. I mean, that's a debate in and of itself. But are we sufficiently engaging a civil society on a deep discussion on the benefits of remote learning? Why not keep the children who are flourishing in remote learning? Why do we have to feel that we have to go back to what was normal? That's one example. Work-life balance has seemed to be brought into focus now, when I can go to work for 4 hours, still be productive, and come home, obviously because I have to attend to my children who are at home on remote learning. But do you feel that civic society is engaging or assisting the government and all the stakeholders in helping us to bring all of this technology into our everyday lives, or should it even be civil society's role?
Absolutely. And I can say, hands down, civil society has probably pushed more of the average Bahamian to the virtual platforms than any other organization, because we have had so many opportunities for training, seminars, learning opportunities that our members have been jumping on, learning, everybody now. I mean, initially it may have been somewhat of a challenge, but most of our members now are able to jump on that Zoom on their phones. Multitasking. They'll tell you, I'm on the call, but I'm driving home, or I'm at a function, so I think civil society is doing well in that regard. Of course, there's always opportunity for more growth and development. Now, when we talk about this new normal, I think as a country, as a people, we have to embrace the opportunity for virtual engagement. And so from remote work to Zoom meetings, etc., I think we have huge efficiencies to be reaped and are reaping. And absolutely, this is here to stay. And so rather than, fighting to try get back to what was, I say let's embrace, let's pivot, and get the right balance. For some people, of course, we still need that face-to-face interaction. And even as CWIL, we've had hybrid meetings where we've had in-person and persons, via Zoom. So we have to get that right balance, Heather. But virtual is here to stay.
Yeah, virtual is here to stay, and I think it comes with its challenges. And I think one of the challenges that we haven't been discussing sufficiently, I guess, is, now that we've moved to virtual platform, what are the effects on socialization? What are the mental health factors? Persons, are more people depressed? Are there higher incidences of violence and incest or other abuse while children are at home and not in the safe environment of a face-to-face? So I think those are things that we need to continue to discuss. The downside of removing that human contact, but at the same time embracing the new things that the pandemic has brought on for us. But I'd like you to weigh in just on some of those things that maybe
Absolutely.
are the unspoken of side effects of our new normal and being disconnected or not face to face for so long.
So, Heather, I do not see them so much as a side effect of the new normal as an uncovering,
Yes.
as exposing of what was already in play, things that we had learned to turn a blind eye to, because we were so busy going that we didn't notice or we got accustomed to living with. And so the pandemic, I think, magnified a lot of these ills that were always there. And so now the time has come that it has brought it to our face and we have to address it. So absolutely, the mental abuse, the physical abuse, the domestic violence, the depression, brought on by myriad of reasons and things, they were always there. And now is a time, excellent time, to reset, stop, and be intentional in addressing these ills and not so much just talking about them from a, side effect or symptomatic, but really saying, here is what we're dealing with. Here are the things, how we can address it, and then create action plans for execution. You talk about the gender-based violence, the abuse that's been going on for far too long, that time and again we've been talking about, and unfortunately we only seem to really put the focus on it when a tragedy takes place. That's another one of the pillars that CWIL is adamantly and strongly advocating for. Take the action steps. We know of the 2015 National Plan that was done by Ruby Nottage, Dr. Sandra Dean Patterson, Dr. Robin Roberts. Listen, get it done. Let's have the action plan. Let's get the legislation in place. Let's get the GBV, Gender-Based Violence Authority, enacted and in place. Let's do the things we know need to be done and have known for a long time.
Indeed. Can you speak to or give the listeners, persons who are interested in doing something? as a chairman of a regional organization, you have a long reach throughout the region. It's just not a Bahamas or a national organization. How can other NGOs, other partners tap into international networks for funding? Because that's exactly what all of the grand efforts call for money. How can you encourage other organizations, smaller persons starting up, just getting ready to want to do something, and step up to the plate to be a better civil partner? What, in your experience, would be their best steps to network and join regional organizations?
So we've had a number of women reach out, love and based on a lot of what they've been seeing CIVIL do and others like Zonta do, and say, listen, I want to help. I want to get involved. And I encourage every Bahamian, really, don't just talk about it. Don't just bemoan the fact. Let's raise our hands. Let's say, how can I help? And then when we come to the fore with initiatives, you come on out and let your voice, let your presence be felt, because we've got to send the message to our leaders that we mean business. We need these initiatives. And so just your presence in showing up, in supporting, in calling into your member of parliament. We've got to move there. Calling into your member of parliament, no, not to talk about just what your personal needs are, but to talk about what as a country we need to do. And of course, joining organizations like CIVIL gives you the opportunity to have a regional presence. But here's the thing. We as a country have got to recognize now and say, there are too many smart people in the Bahamas, intelligent Bahamians, for us to continue be in the state we are. To suffer, our children suffer, our women suffer, our families and homes are suffering, and for us not to do the things that are necessary. And so civilized, in progressive, developed countries, what they do is they tackle this on a number of fronts. It's complex. And so it's going to call for a lot more than just the one-off press conference, the one-off visit to Parliament, the one-off photo op. What it's going to call for is a comprehensive plan. And so what we're saying is that let us collaborate. Let us move through and systematically deal with all the aspects that the national plan, the gender-based violence plan, outlines. It's very comprehensive, and it's basically off the shelf, ready to go. So when you talk about what needs to happen, we need to take that plan that much has been invested and pumped into, dust it off, refresh it to the 2022, move it, get the legislation enacted. The plan calls for a GBV authority that will create the collaboration hub for all of these organizations who want to help. And so we have, hundreds of organizations doing little bits and pieces, but we need it to be organized a whole lot more to really move the needle. And when you talk about international funding, let me just register this. When I attended the Parl-America's session for the Caribbean it was held in Barbados in early 2019, I was exposed to what is called a Spotlight Initiative. And that initiative, it is a UN initiative being driven and sponsored by the European group, which is now the largest GBV funded initiative. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars available. While I was there, they spoke to 6 Caribbean nations that they were currently in and making this funding available to help. And so when the question was raised as to why isn't the Bahamas one of the 6, the answer was that the Bahamas does not have sufficient reporting, sufficient data gathering to inform a proper program and response, and to show the will
Yes.
to do something.
Political will and otherwise will.
You said it. So my point is, if we're going to, and I'm speaking from a position of not blaming and anything
Yes,
like that.
agreed.
We're here. You know, we can look backwards, but let's look forward. So we know that there are these types of initiatives that are available, and we know that we qualify for them in sense of need. No, we don't qualify in sense of preparation, but let's do the homework. Let's do the groundwork to properly qualify us to say and show that we do have the political will and that we have people who can carry out these accountability factors that this initiative calls for, so that our people can get the help that we need. Our women, our girls, our children are crying out. So I say to civic society, I say to the intelligent Bahamians, I say to Bahamians by and large, but more so to our leaders, let's show the political will to tap into these resources and to fix our GBV issues. I even say to stakeholders like the church, other NGOs, civil society, let's come together, let's collaborate, and let's create the action plans we need to get it done.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think this is like a time that we have to reflect. We have to look at ourselves, stop casting the blame on the government. The government should do this, the government should do that. What are we doing as individuals? How are we deciding how our country is going to look? How are we going to behave going forward into the new normal? It was such a pleasure to have this conversation with you, Mrs. Paul. I know that it's time for me to take a break, but we'll continue this conversation in a few moments after the break. And it was a pleasure having you here with me here on my first debut show.
Doing a great job.
Well, I'm trying. Let's see. We still got another little bit to go. But it's been a pleasure having you, Mrs. Paul. Thank you so very, very, very much.
Burger King Nassau is taking spice to new heights with the new Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken sandwiches. Enjoy your choice of a flame-grilled Whopper or a crispy chicken filet topped with chipotle sauce, guacamole, jalapenos, cheese, lettuce, and tomato, all on a fresh potato bun. The new Baja sandwiches at Burger King Nassau pack plenty of flavor, and with an ice-cold Pepsi and fries or onion rings, it's the perfect way to fill your day. The Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken sandwich are only available at Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
back to the Hit Back. My name is Heather Hunt. I am the guest host today on this lovely Wednesday, and I'm here with Mrs. Charlene Paul, and we're just talking about NGOs and their role in civil society, how we are navigating toward a new normal, and how CWIL, which is the organization she represents and chairs, how they are carrying out their mandate to advance women's participation in governance. And she spoke quite a bit about that in the last segment. And I really want to key in on one particular thing that we would have just touched on in the last segment. You know, you would have said that CWIL engages or has engaged in the past in discussions with political organizations and their leaders. And you stated this word, quotas. Some think it's a curse word, taboo word, for lack of a better description. But what is that quota? Are you advocating a quota? And just explain for the people of the Bahamas what exactly that means and why it should even be a topic of conversation.
So, Heather, this isn't something that CWIL has come up with or dreamed up or trying to push on its own accord. The Bahamas government, along with 189 other countries in the United Nations, signed on to various conventions, several, and we're talking over 30 years ago, conventions where it was agreed to move towards gender equality, gender parity at the political arena, in the political arena. And the Sustainable Development Goals of 2015 that were signed on to again by the Bahamas calls for 30% representation of women in Parliament. We're thankful that we've moved a little closer. I think we're around 18, 19.
Just a little. Up from 11, I think.
Up from where we were the previous term. But we're still woefully falling short. 30% already is, it's below the 50% that we actually should be reaching for, seeing that women represent 50% of the population. But we've agreed, the country has agreed to 30%. And again, we have to show the will, the political will. It is simply not enough to sign conventions and then forget about them. The fact that we signed onto it means that at some point we recognize the need for it. And so what we are saying as Caribbean Women in Leadership, get it done, execute. And in order to do that, you find ways to move the needle forward. The political quotas is one of those ways. And a number of other countries have embraced the use of political quotas to get them there at the 30%. And we're not talking about a token and just, basically to, political cronyism or, nepotism. We're saying, listen, you already have women in your organization who have the capacity, because obviously you selected them to nominate them, etc. But put that quota, that number, that you need that critical mass. We're saying if we don't have at least 30%, then you're unable to effect the kind of change that is needed. So we're saying that in order to get the 30% in Parliament, let's start with the political party. Have the political quota in your party that at least 30% of those nominated will be women. And so those are the types of conversations. We've sent correspondence, communications to that effect. We even held a Women in Parliament session in December of 2020, where we, thankfully the then speaker gave us the Parliament for a day. And we would have articulated in true, style as women, elaborate, effective, competent, and we presented 2 resolutions to that effect. One was to deal with political quotas for women representation, and the other was to deal with the gender-based violence legislation.
That's right. I was so grateful to be a participant in that Women in Parliament session, where women from every sphere of society, not just the usual suspects, if you will, women from a variety of backgrounds. I remember we touched on key issues, climate change, agriculture, disability inclusion, youth issues.
Yes.
And that was a very enjoyable and historic occasion, and I hope we continue to have those type of forum. But like you said, one of those resolutions that we debated were, talking about the increased participation and going back to our respective parties to advocate for that. But what about those ladies who are not involved in a political organization? And I guess I could put the question to you this way. I know you would have run as an independent candidate. So how then would a female candidate who isn't aligned with either of the or any of the political parties, how does she advocate to be counted in the number, if you will? Because if you look at the raw numbers, right, you'd see that if 300 women offered, or around there 300 women offered, but where did they offer? Why would they offer as independents and not seek to be attached to a party that may help them or may help guarantee, or if not guarantee, make their success a little easier?
Excellent question. And so a couple things. Firstly, major political parties have got to have the will to embrace the women who do offer themselves. And I am quite aware a number of our members would have reached out and made application to major political parties, and their applications would have been denied. So hats off to the women who ran as independents, who or ran with other minority parties, because they had a conviction, they had a desire, and felt the need to offer themselves for service. And so we say hats off to them. Also, the main thing, and that was the other reason why I'm saying we need this public awareness to educate our public too as to the need to embrace. We have, as a people, have got to move past just voting on a party and really vote the individual as well. Look at the individual. And I know many people, I had people say to me, "Oh, Miss Paul, I'd like to vote for you, but
Well, I'm one of those. I would have loved to vote for you in Yamacraw. However, I had to do something else. Or I did something else.
You felt the need.
Right. I understand completely. And I guess that's where our partisan politics would still get the better of us. But I think we need to be, and I guess that's where CWIL and other organizations chime in and continue to, advocate for, these type of issues, so that, even if we have to drag along the political parties, then perhaps that's something we may do. Another controversial question or idea that has been implemented in other countries. We've seen women-only districts and women-only seats. Definitely winnable seats, but both or all parties are run women.
Yes.
So that regardless of who wins, there is a woman in there to guarantee that once the dust settles, out of the 39 seats that we have, we need to have at least 12 minimum.
Absolutely. And again, that's another excellent way to achieve that result. And so that's our point. If we have a obligation, a commitment as a nation, then let's come up with those strategic ways to get it done. That's what it is. That's what leaders do. You find ways, you create solutions, so that at the end of the day, when the dust is settled, we have our 30% representation, and not so much just to be able to check a box to the UN when we report and say, okay, we've done it. No, but it's to recognize that our country needs it. Our country will benefit from it. And so that's the message that we really want to send.
Our country will benefit from it. And I think the quicker we decide to take these aggressive steps to ensure our compliance, not with just our international obligations, but ensure compliance with, or actually just ensure that we have proportionate representation, I think we'll see a difference in that good governance in which you speak. Because I think with the right proportion of women at the table, you'd hear advocacy and a voice on national issues that maybe perhaps some of the men may not take.
Heather, we owe it to our women and girls.
We do.
We owe it. And yes, I said it. We owe it as a people to our women and girls to ensure that they are fully and properly represented at every decision-making table. It is unjust, it is unfair to not have them fully represented when we make up 50% of the population. Think about it. We were divinely put here, and we have a divine right to participate in governance in our nation. That's a God-given right. And so as leaders, you owe it. You owe it to the women. You owe it to us.
So I'm looking forward in this new reset and the new normal for this to be an everyday topic of conversation.
Yes.
So that by the time we get to the next round and the next dispensation in our electoral process, that, you know, it will not be a taboo topic to aim for and expect the 30% minimum women participation. But Mrs. Paul, you know, can you let everyone know how the, you know, interested ladies out there can contact CWIL, can become members? Because at the end of the day, we can sit here and talk, and maybe something that we've said has sparked an interest in someone out there who wants to get involved in women in leadership, participate in some of the training programs, actually learn more about what the organization does. So if you could just, you know, have a few words to encourage women out there.
Absolutely. The easiest way, we have a Facebook. We're represented on Facebook, CWIL Bahamas National Chapter. We also have, and you can get our email address from there, CWIL Baham National Chapter 242@gmail.com. You can call 422-3766. We'd be happy to help and assist. And we say, if you're a female who has a call, a sense of duty and strong willingness to move our country forward to good governance, transparent and transformative leadership, you need to come and join ranks with us. And so, because in solidarity, and that's a pin for CWIL, is solidarity, and in numbers, we have strength. Politicians listen to numbers. And so come join us. CWIL Bahamas National Chapter, our Facebook page, our number, you can reach us at 422-3766 or 470-8771. We would love to have you on board.
Yeah, so I would like to thank Mrs. Paul. I mean, it's been such a pleasure talking with you. You know, this is my first time here in this role. I'm enjoying this quite a lot, and it's been a pleasure sharing this with you. You know, I'm all about women empowerment. Everyone who knows me knows that it's my passion. So there would be no reason why on my first day that I wouldn't be speaking about the subject that I'm very most passionate about, and that's women representation, and how in civil society and how NGOs, especially women in leadership, are helping us navigate the new normal. We do have to take a break for the 5 o'clock news, but I thank you, Mrs. Paul, for being with me, and I'll be back on the other side of the news.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you so much.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas. Is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
We believe relationship banking. We take pride in getting to know our clients. You have access to knowledgeable, approachable ambassadors and financial coaches so that we can recommend the best product for you. At Fidelity, we care about you. From your financial health to your physical health, we can relate to you because we're just like you. Come and start your relationship banking experience with us today. Visit us online at fidelitygroup.com. Visit any of our branches in Nassau or Grand Bahama, or phone 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 for Freeport.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Heather Hunt here and guest host of the Hit Back this afternoon. And today we're talking about NGOs and civic organizations and how they have engaged with society, and they're helping us to navigate through the reset and the introduction of the new normal in a post-COVID pandemic world. We've had Mrs. Paul come in, and she's speaking from the perspective of the chairman of CWIL, that's Caribbean Women in Leadership, the Bahamas chapter. It was such a pleasure speaking with her. And coming up next, we have another very phenomenal and prominent activist in our country. Her name is Candy Gibson, and she is the director of FOAM, Family of All Murder Victims. We know that she also is a very strong advocate for general, matters of domestic violence, and she is the director of Agape Housing Project. And so, Candy Gibson, good afternoon. It's good to have you with me here on the Hit Back today.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure.
And it's always a pleasure talking to you, Candy. You know, FOAM holds a very special place in my heart. And I thought it fitting that today you'd be one of the first persons to share this new opportunity and space with me. And I just want to have a conversation with you about how your organization is engaging with, with members of society, especially though with a focus on how are we reacting to the new normal and how are things now for your organization post COVID-19?
Well, do bear in mind, I want to give God thanks. First of all, I want to give God thanks. And secondly, I want to open this forum up with a moment of silence for all of those who would have lost their lives to violence, especially with Miss Claudette, our Miss Bella, and also Miss Heavenly. We could just have a moment of silence in their honor, please.
Indeed, Candy, indeed.
Okay, FOAM has been birthed out of pain birthed passion. And we started out just helping murder victims' families, just making sure the kids got there, whatever they need to help them. We made sure they get the used clothing, the grocery assistance, the back to school supplies. We make sure they get presents. We make sure they get birthday and Christmas presents. We have another little bit every year. We have a give the gift of hope. And that's the time we have families come together, unite and so forth for a meal and bouncing castle music and also toys and gifts. And even during COVID, we were still out there doing our part. When we were locked down, I had persons coming to my home or sending persons to my home who could have been on the road at that time to get their groceries. So FOAM never stopped. We continue, and we will always continue to do the great work in our country because the government alone can't do it. It takes everybody coming together and collect effort to help build our country.
Indeed, we all have to, do our part, Candy. And you started out correctly, giving God thanks and obviously taking a moment of silence for the recent victims of violence in the country. What I want to ask you, Candy, how have you found? I mean, in my mind, I found that when we have tragic events like the victims that you just mentioned and we just honored, I think what happens in our society is people become inflamed for just a few moments, and then when the news cycle changes to something else, we move on to the next topic. How have you and your organization continued to keep the memory of these persons alive and keep the cause in the forefront of people's mind?
Okay. I tend to keep the cause to the forefront because I had 2 brothers murdered and a boyfriend murdered. And so therefore, just so they're no longer on earth, but they're always in my heart. So every day they're with me. Like I always tell a person, yeah, your loved one might not be on this earth, but if you choose to let him die, because he could always remain alive in your heart. That's a place where nobody ever could find him other than you. And so and it's not even me, Miss Hunt, is the fact that we have, I have a families of all murder victim page. That person's inbox me a picture of their loved one and they say, hi, good night. Can you share this picture, please, with me, please? Let them know that he is gone or she is gone. They're not forgotten. Hi, please don't forget this person. Persons reach out to me and ask me to remember their loved one. And so even with that families of all murder victim page, it gives family hope that their loved ones are no longer here, but it's not just them, but we have somebody else just making the public aware, the country where, hey, guess what, so-and-so is no longer here, but we have not forgotten them. And so even though a person might get killed in this country and today that make headlines and next week it doesn't to other people, but to whom that person life mattered. And so therefore every year or every birthday we bring the person back up and so forth. We reach out to the families, let them know that we're praying for them and they're still not taught, like person who've gotten killed, we put them on a year plan where they can come to our office and they get grocery and no one used clothing for their children for a year. And so we want to let the persons know, the public know your loved one might be gone and maybe forgotten to many, but they will never ever be forgotten to whom.
And can you tell us, Candy, where to find you? And obviously this is a cause that needs financial assistance. How can you to come and give and assist to this worthy cause so that your work can continue?
Okay, they can. My office is located number 68 Alexander Boulevard. That's Nassau Village. My cell phone number is 424-8953. Our office number is 603-4141. And should they choose to make a check or direct deposit, our account number is 201-633-3394, and that's First Caribbean Bank, Wallet Marathon Branch. Good. And it don't have to be monetary. It could be grocery. They might have a pack of rice, or they might have a noodle. They might have a craft and a spaghetti. They have in their cupboard. They might have an old shoe or old pants. Once it's gently used, because I've seen persons being donating stuff to our organization that's only fit to throw in the garbage. Like when they drop them off here, I have to call the person to come carry straight to the dump. And one person that realize that when they donate to an organization such as us, they're not donating to the dump, they're donating to give persons hope. Hold on 1 minute, my phone.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to join in with this conversation with myself and Candy Gibson, the phone, I forgot to mention it earlier, but the telephone lines are available. They are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. That's the telephone lines are open. That's 323-6232 and 325-4316 or 325-4259. So I thought it important to bring on Candy Gibson because her organization is more of a grassroots organization that has her pulse on the ground, everyday Bahamians, and she would be able to give us a real life and, real life and up close and personal accounts of what people are going through in the country, and in particular with respect to the recent wave of violence and domestic violence in the country. And so that's the topic of this segment. We want to discuss is enough being done for victims of domestic violence? We've noticed that stiffer penalties are stiffer penalties necessary for the victims of domestic violence. And Candy, I want to specifically ask you about the Agape Shelter that you have, and what is the role and how was that birthed?
Okay, well, Agape, it was a female shelter at first. We just had females coming, station. It all came about in 2017 when I would have went to Canada, and I spent some 17 months in Canada. And when I came back, my first order of business was to establish a female shelter, because when I was in Canada, me and my daughter lived in a shelter. And I said I was operating so forth. So my main order was to open up a shelter. But it came to fruition when two ladies came into my office. One had 10 children, one had 8 children. They had nowhere to go. And after they went to social service and so forth, they didn't know what they can do. One saying she didn't want to leave a turn aside the road and this, and I was like, no, that's not gonna happen. I was able to get a home, and I was able to place two ladies inside the home, and those two ladies with their children went to a home with no light, just water. And if you see the condition of the home, it's like, oh no, and there's nowhere in the world someone could actually live in this home with no light and just rest running water. But we're able to. They slept. We grabbed stuff as we went. We put clarion call as we went. I put a post up on Facebook that there was outstanding bill on the electricity, and my Facebook fans and followers had come together with me, and they can I could go and make an agreement on the bill and so forth. I was able to go and make an agreement on the bill. I was able to get the light put in my name and so forth. And so that's how Agape Female Shelter came to pass. But then during COVID-19, we had men who found themselves homeless as well. And so we changed the name to not just a female shelter, but now a housing product, because we have males there along with females. And then we just had to create another room to accommodate another female. And so therefore we pretty much doing our part, but there's so much you can do with the lack of resources and the lack of funding. And I realized a lot of people are homeless, and people didn't just start becoming homeless during Hurricane Dorian. We have homeless daily, and it hurts my heart, Ms. Hunt, to have to turn persons away and say, I am sorry, I can't. At one point, I had 28 residents in a 5-bedroom house. I had 3 single females in my house, and I had a family of 4 in my office. So when I say I stretch myself thin, I stretch myself thin. And it's only so much you can do. You know, you put your hand to the wheel every day, you plowing. And they say the harvest is ripe, but the labors are few. And so there's only so much FOAM can do with the lack of funding.
Yes, funding is a really difficult problem for a lot of the NGOs that are out here trying to do their little bit of work in the vineyard, Candy. And I just hope that there are some persons out there, you know, hearing you. And I know you are always advocating, always on social media, always on various shows, speaking to the work of FOAM. And, you know, I just want to thank you, Candy, on behalf of the Bahamian people, you know, who don't necessarily see and know the things that you do every day, but being that beacon of light, you know, being the person who's gonna stand up for your brothers and sisters who are in need. And so I really want to commend you and FOAM, you know, for the continued work that you're doing. But if we could dive in a little bit deeper, Candy, on the domestic violence topic and your NGO FOAM and the Agape Shelter. Have you found that COVID has made your victims or the persons that you assist, has that increased, or do you believe that it's just shine the light on something that was going on anyway, and it's not a big increase in persons coming to seek assistance from your organization?
I wouldn't say it has. I wouldn't say it has shined. The problem was always there. The issue was always there. But then do bear in mind, with COVID, person was actually laid off from work. So if someone laid off from work and someone terminated from work, they would be in existence. they would be needing assistance, whether it be governmental, NGO, however, they would be needing assistance. And because COVID-19 came, many were laid off, some were terminated and so forth. We saw a lot of persons coming to us and calling us and reaching out to us for help. At one point, we even started a COVID-19 rental assistance program. We were the first, other than social services, to even pick up that mandate. And we were assistant persons with their rent and so forth. They're like, who we couldn't house, we tried our best to assist them with rent. And at the end, like I say, it's still funding. Like you have the idea, you have the vision, you have the plan, but then it's funding what really holds you back from really wanting to do more. So, and I'm glad like now that the country is open and persons able to, some of them get their job back, who wasn't able to get re-employed, was able to find employment elsewhere. So that the somehow lessen the traffic in here. But then at the end of the day too, we still have persons in need, like the Bible said, the poor you can have amongst you always. So don't care whether it's COVID or COVID not, or hurricane not, the poor you have with you always. And it really hurts me that if someone have to come and say, well, I am sorry, we don't have anything in our pantry, or I am sorry, we wouldn't be able to assist you with rent to pay, but we're able to partnership with the Revolutionary Black Panther Party, and they partnered with us, and they opt to pay that they'll be able to pay assist with a single mother and the kids rent every month and so forth. So last one was our first one, we was able to assist a single mother with her rent. And so we're looking forward to continue doing partnership with them, so we'll be able to select a single mother who needs assistance with her rent as the time go on every month.
That's a wonderful initiative, Candy. Have you found that that's the international organizations come to your aid as well, or more local partners?
More local partners come. My intention, to the grace of God, my will, to the grace of God, I would want to get to see an international global sponsor funding, because you could do so much more international than you could do locally. Because like the Bible says, a prophet is not honored in his own hometown. In my case, a prophet is not honored in her own hometown. Like you will have the vision, you would know what needs to be done, I have an idea what needs to be done, but then the blockage is funding. You understand me? Like I love my office in Nassau Village, Ms. Hunt, but I think I have outgrown the space. And so, yes.
Well, to all the listening guests, you've heard Candy Gibson talk about the work that FOAM is doing, the fact that they're helping families and they're helping children and mothers and victims, not only victims of domestic violence, but even men who found themselves upon hard times. I want to talk to you about your pantry, Candy, just for a moment. And I really want to talk about what's been the hot topic in the news about the increase in food prices. I know we've all seen it. We've been hearing about it for quite a few months now. The major food store owners have been talking about how food prices are going to increase and have been increasing. So what that means is the people who you've been trying to assist, who've been having difficulty feeding themselves even up to now, will have an even more difficult time as prices increase. Can you speak to your pantry and how you would request assistance from the public to help get your pantry back and stocked?
Yes. Do bear in mind now, FOAM now has a base in Freeport. And so I want to give God thanks for that. Thanks for that also. We have an outlet now in Freeport where murder victims' families have an outlet where they can seek counseling, prayers, new and used clothing, and grocery assistance for their kids. No child should go to bed hungry or in lack because their father or mother has been murdered. So we now have the supply for 2 pantries. That's one in Nassau and one in Freeport. And so we'd ask persons to donate like rice, Kraft and noodles, corned beef, tuna, spaghetti, cornflakes, sugar, flour, and items like that, tomato paste, oil, tissue, soap, napkins, stuff like that, what persons really need. Toothpaste, toothbrush. We need baby milk, Pampers. We have persons are being murdered and they're leaving their girlfriends pregnant or their girlfriends with babies to the breast. And so when a mother comes in here and she'll buy them with probably a baby push, a stroller, a car seat, milk, Pampers, baby wipes, bottles. Our job is to help them because the sole breadwinner is now deceased. And so we need the function, we need everything in here because at the end of the day, when this loved one is violent, take away, they are the sole breadwinner. And in some cases, the girlfriends never work or the wife never work. So that tends to be hardship on them. And so we ask in person to sponsor home, not just because of murder victims' family, but sponsor home because we have a full community center and nobody's turning away. We have persons coming to us who is disabled. We have the elderly folks coming to us for assistance, and our job is we can't turn them because once they reach a home, that's it, they need help. I can't turn them and say, okay, miss, I'm sorry, we don't have it. Our product is only for murder victims. No. Once you come here, you're getting help. And so for us to help the people, we need partnership. We need person to sponsor. We need donors. See the work we're doing in the community and help us to help the other people.
Indeed. You spoke a little bit about counseling. And Candy, what I think in the country, we've not done a very good job at letting everyone know that counseling is important and a part of everyday life. And your mental health is very important. Especially in these circumstances where, you have murder victims coming out of domestic situations, or other relationships where anger definitely would have been a factor. If you could just speak to, just for a few moments, the counseling aspects of your organization, or what is needed, or with respect to counseling, avoid having some more of these murder victims if we would be implementing and addressing the mental health of the domestic violence, both the victim and the abuser. If you could speak to that.
First of all, I want to say this too, and I try to be as even as possible, even with the accused, when you check back their history and you see with the, not saying it makes it they justify what they did, but when you check back their history and you piggyback on their history, you see like, okay, he came from abuse. His father always abused his mommy, or his daddy killed this person, so now he's on the same church, whereas he's following the same step as his daddy or his great grandfather's father. Counseling is so important because persons actually going through daily, they don't know, and they need someone who could relate to them, who could get down with them and understand that, guess what, this is what you're going through, but it don't have to be like this. It don't have to end like this. But our problem is when persons go through stuff, they try to reach out to an outlet to help them, sometimes the outlet fails them. And so what left for them to do? I'm going to be real with you. Even just going to the police station, that's a form of counseling, that's a form of, because I go to the police station, I feel like if I reach out to them and they can help my situation, I don't have to resort to plan B or whatever. But if I go to them and they didn't help me, or they talk to me so bad, they won't go deal with them again. Come on. You understand? And I always tell a person, a kind word turn away wrath. Okay. If me as coming to the organization and they give them some time, like, I don't want to come in with mother to the child or baby to breast. They will keep on Facebook every day. I still can't give somebody. I took a hit. I had no staff in here because I couldn't afford it. I could not afford it. So I came here every day. I would go on the murder scenes. I would go to families. I would come back and type up my letters. I would go run here. I would go do that and so forth. But I was doing everything because I couldn't afford a staff. And so I had to take a counseling for myself because I saw it was on Facebook, tuning into Prophet Tamara Simmons and other pastors out there, and my Apostle Grant, who was speaking to my spirit. At the time, I was wounded. And Apostle Shanta Ferguson, where would I be? And so I want to say counseling is very important because even the strongest amongst us is the weakest. Now, with murder victims' families, that's a pain only God can help you with. People are like, oh, get over it. Oh, she's crying. Look how long he or she was dead. No two persons grieve the same. Everybody grieve on their own time frame, on their own merit. When my first brother got killed, Andrew got killed, I cried, Miss Hunt, for 8 months straight. If you just mention him, if I just tell a story, if I just think about him, I cry. It was so bad. My mom be like, "What happened, Candy? Someone beat you in your face, eh? Someone punched you, eh?" I said, "No, mommy, I just can't help it." And I went home. I'm in a ride together. I would just break down and cry. Now, 8 months after that, my brother got killed. My next brother got killed. He got killed. My first brother got killed August 5th, 2011. My second brother got killed April 17, 2012. And he got killed April 2000. That would have been 8 months later. June 1st, 2012. So I just mourned for the second one, May, a month. Because June 1st, 2012, it was born. And so I says everybody mourn differently. And what's so prevalent about the situation is that when person's loved one is murdered, we tend to say, oh, there's a number here, you go to this person for counseling. No. Sometimes people are so broken and so traumatized that they can't even reach out for help. So I feel like we get to the age now whereas we bring counseling to them. And so what I normally do is I carry Miss T.G. Clark, who's a counselor at her church, and Evangelist Church. I carry her with me on my missions when I go to visit the victim's family, because she bring out the spiritual aspect of it. She bring out the company of God in it. She can bring out the evangelism in the ministry. For a person know at the end of the day, it's only God. We can offer you counsel word, yes, but if we don't bring it, there's nothing. So counseling is very important with Jesus Christ.
Absolutely, Candy. And spiritual life is the key, really is the foundation. Yeah. And I guess, when we talk about having outlets, for mental health and people to vent, I think a lot of these things may be avoided if there are more outlets. But what do you think the church, and when I say the church now, I don't mean that, the Christian Council, I don't mean, the four walls, brick and mortar church, but for Christians who know that they as individuals are the church, what should people like us be doing to help facilitate these outlets? For people who are suffering either the grief of the loss of the loved one, or the grief of being the victim, or the grief of, or the anger, or the suppressed issues of, that call you in to help be an outlet.
To be honest with you, Heather, we have to stop looking at the church as the four walls. Mm-hmm. The church is you and I. The church is anybody who right now is about doing their father's business. That's the church to me. Like I always tell a person, form is a church. Form is a ministry. We're out here doing our father's business. And you know what is so sad? It's like, and I'm going to be real with you with what I see. The street guy, the gangs, the hood niggas, the community niggas, they have more love than the church. Watch them because they get by one half bag or whatever. And they would give this person a little pull off it, a little person they mix it in their hand. You get your share, I get my share. We sit down, we smoke. We buy a bottle of Hennessy. 10 niggas around one bottle of Hennessy. But this, the people are dark. And that's what the Bible tells us. This are smarter than the people that like the Bible tells us that. And they will share what they got. But then you have the church on the other hand. We ain't coming together for nothing. You have this pastor don't speak to that pastor. That bishop don't speak to that deacon. Or you have the people, but this person, he get elected as this. And so we have few inside the body of Christ. But the people who in the gang, they're together. And so until the Bible tells us, and I always go back to what they said in the book of Acts of Corinth. Those in the upper room, those who had, sold what they had and gave to those who didn't have. And then there became a loud voice from heaven, and they began speaking in unknown tongues. My question would be, what are you willing to give up to see somebody happy, or to make somebody smile, or to give somebody peace? Give up. We ain't giving up nothing. And so I tell just that church, no. The church is you and I. The church is that same Jones on the road who suddenly he juju. That's the church. The church is the person who you meet at the pump. That's the church who actually want me to fill your jug to you for you too. I say when you go to the gas station, that pump attendant come, hi, good day, mom, have a nice day. That's the church. Because simple as him saying, have a good day, nice day, mom, you look beautiful day, that gives you a smile on your face, say. That made you feel good about yourself. Even if you had a down day, that friendly smile give you warmth. And so I consider right now, anybody who doing the will of my Father is the church.
Indeed, Candy. And, I guess it makes it that just brings this all right into point, because instead of us wondering, how NGOs or how these organizations and associations could be helping society and help, turn into this new normal, I guess the real question is what each one of us should be doing to reflect on ourselves and adapt our behavior in this new normal. What are we doing as individuals? Are we just going about our business, having gone through a pandemic for the last 2 years? What have we done differently? Are you still carrying on the same habits? Are you still getting up every day, going on the job 10 hours, coming home sleepy, can't talk to your children, vexed with the world? Maybe the question isn't what the organizations are doing, but what you and I are doing as individuals. What is our new normal? I mean, has the pandemic changed us at all? Or are we the same people that we were before? Well, that was a sobering segment. I have to take a break, but I'll be right back here with you on the Hit Back.
Forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Throughout our lifetime, we must all make decisions. No matter how we choose, the right one just needs to be made. Like having J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers as your insurance partner. We've been serving the Bahamas for over 100 years. Whether you need home, motor, marine, or commercial insurance, make the right decision. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
J.S. Johnson Insurance. Peace of mind.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family was gonna live at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. It's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Good afternoon. My name is Heather Hunt. Again, here with you today as a guest host of the Hit Back, talking with two phenomenal women this afternoon, speaking about NGOs and the organizations that they head and how they're functioning in our society, to help us navigate through a new normal. But on the other side of the break, before we took the break, Candy Gibson was making a sober point that really and truly we need to be looking at ourselves, as individuals. What can we be doing for our neighbor, our brother's keeper, instead of looking to NGOs and civil society for help? Candy, have you found that people, governments, or look for organizations, and it's pretty hard for them to look at themselves in the mirror? What's been your experience?
Yes, people tend to point the finger. We blaming everybody, but we're not blaming ourselves. I said the other day, the government gave this lady supplement. She was like, "Oh, I can't even feed my children, and I have 5 children." And I'm saying to myself, "But why are you blaming the government? Down the government business, down the government decision when you had your 5 children. That was your decision, right? So now you have the 5 children, you claim what the government giving you isn't sufficient, but that ain't the government responsibility." And I'm saying to myself, like, we got to get to a point, Heather, where we start appreciating people and whatever little substance they give us, we have to start appreciating people. Whatever. If someone give me that candy, and I had to buy the candy, I appreciate it. Someone give me a ride and I had to take that dollar to catch bus, I appreciate it. But I feel like we have become, I don't know if it's because of COVID-19 or whatever, but we have become so with that spirit of entitlement. We feel like people obligated or entitled to assist us and help us. And the minute they can't do is an issue, they point finger at them, but you put yourself in this predicament though. That's like, and I always draw illustrations. In 2015, I was dating Roberta Barnaby Williams. I got mixed up in a scandal. He got killed. I can't blame the boy. That's a decision. I chose to like him. And so how I get myself out of that, Candy, first of all, Candy, this is bad boys. That side of your life, finish and done with. So once I know you've been to prison, you have an ankle bracelet, but you can't even talk to me. Now, one time, the old me, but guess you, if the man know you, I need to know you too. You understand me? But the new side of me now is, once you've been, that's your past. That's where you at now. That's it. Like, that part of my life is finished. Also, I did school. I had to rebrand myself. I had to do stuff to take me out of that negative image. You understand me? So we now have to take responsibility of ourselves and for ourselves and understand nobody has us in the predicament we in other than us. And through the grace of God, we can get out. But stop pointing fingers and take ownership of yourself and the situation you have at hand.
You know, Candy, talk to us, you know, because someone out there, you know, may be in a position that you were in, and they're in a point where maybe, you know, they are in a relationship with someone who's, you know, running from police, or in a situation where they're looking at themselves and saying, you know, I'm not in the place I need to be. But, you know, you would have gone through your pains, not just with the murders of your brothers, but also your boyfriend. How does, you know, or can you give any tips for that young lady out there who's sitting down and hearing you and saying, you know what, if she could get up and rebrand, like you said, how can I do it? What are you saying to that lady out there listening?
Heather, I wouldn't sit here and act like I have a down pack, and I can't even give her some tips, because at the end of the day, when you in a relationship, we don't see flags, you know. They say, oh, you should see the red flag. You don't see the Bahamas flag, you don't see Haiti flag, you don't see Jamaican flag, you don't see Cuban flag, you don't see the US flag, you don't see no flag, only you see love. The heart wants who the heart wants. And guess what? You know that person ain't good for your health. You know that person might even be good for your life. But the heart wants who the heart wants. And nothing like when you in love with a person, I'm just believing God for the best for them. You believe in God. And so you stick it out. Because, you know, you see stories where other people got changed and other people gave their life up and they was able to become pastors and doing good and be successful people in the society. So you hold on thinking, like, I hold about thinking I would get that break. But unfortunately, I didn't get the break. Sometimes in life, we connect ourselves with people, we looking for the best for them, you know. But they have done so much wrong to society that at the end of the day, they have a bill. They have a bill. And so, like I say, when the Grim Reaper come, he coming for his. And so, and when the Grim Reaper come, if you choose to date that person and you there when the Grim Reaper come, you open yourself to that too. And that was all. When we make decisions, we can't make decisions for our flesh. We have to make sure for our children. Because when the Grim Reaper come, he don't care if you're holding the baby in your hand, the baby to your breast. He coming and he coming for whoever there. And that take me back to a situation happened, I think, in the island of Lutra, I think, where the guys them came, they shoot the guy, he's holding his child, his wife had to run in the bush, and the baby got shot, I think, shot in the leg, and the baby and eventually ended up dying. So the lady lost her husband and her 4-year-old child. The people hop in the car, 2 other children in the back of the car. She runs to the bush. The lad that they fired shot in the bush after her, but she ended up finding a car with the children unharmed. And, you know, it's situations like that to tell us, like, you know, like, we have to be so careful, because when we choose to date these type of people, we don't just put ourselves in danger, we put our children in danger. And so we now have to make a decision.
You know, Candy, speaking of children, and I know your organization does a lot of outreach for mothers and children. But I think a lot of children are being abused and being victimized. And, even let me give you an example of recently, where there was a report in the newspaper of a man who got a $500 fine and a very, very short custodial sentence for pulling a 6-year-old boy in the bush. And French kissing, that was the name of that was the way it was described in the paper. But we know it was more graphic than French kissing. We can't make it sound lighter than it was. How have you found, victims that you come across? Are they not coming forward because they feel that people are only going to get a slap on the wrist like that $500 fine and a short custodial sentence for pulling out a boy's tongue in the bush? You've been finding.
Shame is a serious thing, and you know what I realized too? In that case, when the picture I saw circling on Facebook with that guy, you can see his head isn't good. You understand, for that picture. Nevertheless, whether your head good or not, you have no right to touch nobody. You have the right to touch a child. You have the right to touch nobody. And so it's the fact that the time frame, you would go press charges to the station, you go make up in the station, and I ain't lie. I can be real. There's only so much police for the amount of stuff that's going on in our country. Like someone said, we can't, if we were there to open them out and say what really good in this country, probably all dodge cover. So when you have home invasion, you have armed robbery, you have rape, you have domestic violence, you have murder, you have white collar crime. There's so many stuff going on with so much stuff going on in our country, crime related. And then when you go to your statement, and people had to say before you, and it's only so much manpower the police could do. So you have that being a reason why people don't want to go to the police thing and do whatever the case is. And I know it was a situation a few years ago, like two years ago, I think, and someone showed me a situation with abuse. And when I said, if you think it's if you saying what you said is true, send me some pictures. And so they WhatsApp me some pictures. And when they WhatsApp me some pictures, I spoke to ASP, he's Inspector Smith, the CDU. And I said, man, I want you to take a look at something. I said, I don't like this. He said, no, man, Candy, no, man, this, da. And he said, I was in class, and you'll be at that time. And I couldn't wait till class over because I had to call the hotline lady. She's like, my job is only to take the information. And when the person come on the next day, I'll give the information to them. I said, miss, the next day, this child will be dead. Miss, I go on straight to CDU. And let me tell you something here. That lady, she worked on the social services, Robin Thompson. And it was, I think it was several walks they were on at time. And guess what? That's the quickest I've ever seen the Royal Bahamas Police Force move in my whole life. Time as I bind the corner in my yard, the person say, you went to the station? I said, yes. You say, the police here right now. And the perpetrators were arrested. They were convicted and everything. And so you have some cases when they can move right away. And then you have some cases, I guess, due to the lack of not having a vehicle in the yard, the police cars in the yard, because they are on other missions and so forth. And then too, you have persons want to go to the police force, but then who the alleged perpetrator is. Who is, I had a situation too where a lady came to me, she said our child is being molested. I said, okay, well, let's go. And we went to the station and so forth. They tell us go to scans. When we get the scans, that was in the system for the lady to come to scans, but the people at scans are ready. So because that was system, she's already, they'll check. They said the child was tampered. I said, ma'am, I said, okay, if you're serious, we can go back to the station and make a official complaint. I said, you should meet me so-and-so. She never meet me. And so, as much as I advocate for people, I only could go as far as they were willing to go for their loved ones. Like I said, people, my 2 loved ones got killed, but they're alive. Because every day I on Facebook about them and talking about everything I do with FOAM is because of them. And so people choose that people harm, attack their loved one, and they don't want to just use that as a stepping ground to open their mouth to be an advocate for the stop or whatever the case is. Then our life is going to be continued the same way because no one, like I told someone a day, my brother got killed now 11 or 12. I became a voice for murder victims' family. I became the face. And persons were getting killed in our country for years, but I stepped out in faith. And some paying job in Pateco, I stepped out in faith and started a form. And I wouldn't tell you a word of lie. I don't regret one day. I love what I do. You know what it is when someone get killed and you go to say, oh, I thought I was waiting on you. I was expecting to see you from yesterday. Or I was wondering what's taking you so long. How come you don't reach yet? You know, that is make me feel so good that people have faith that, hey, guess when Miss Gibson shows up, she come up with a word or seed of compassion because she already walked this road. She ain't come and spilligating. She ain't come and spectating. She ain't come to guess and she ain't come to be nosy. She come because she care. Yeah. And so we have to let go of that shame, and it's sad, but if wrong happened, let's speak up on it, you know?
Well, Candy, you know, the listeners out there are tuning in, and we have a text on the line. It says, good show. I like how Candy Gibson is talking. Yes, she's a Christian and spiritual, but also real earthly good. She's right about the spirit of entitlement and irresponsible that's plaguing this country terribly. The question they're asking, though, Candy, they said, is it pure ignorance or wrong upbringing or just their choices? Please speak to this because plenty people play the blame game. What do you think about that, Candy? Is ignorance wrong upbringing or just the person's individual choice that you think is causing?
I would say all three plays a major role because you have some people, they brought up in a humble home, you know? Then there's some people brought up in an aggressive home where the mommy aggressive, the daddy aggressive. So what could you expect from them? And Heather, I'm not gonna lie, Heather, when I go to murder victims' family and I see the home, they come on and be like, I said, this person never stood a chance. This person never stood a chance. You know, and so it's your home bringing, it's the people and then you have some people who just make up in their mind, they guess what, far as I concern, the world against them. So don't care what right or good wrong you do, the world is against them. And so I just tell people, and I always tell persons, you gotta be thankful, especially during this COVID-19 time. If someone give you a loaf of bread, be thankful because COVID-19 people lost their job, lose their home, lose their car, lose their family, COVID-19, and they remember you to give you something. Man, you better try, thank God for them and thank God for yourself. Thank God he put your name and name out to be a blessing to you. I said a day, this lady came to my house. She have a few children and she's pregnant. And I this is a Sunday. Just I put up my drive-through. I meet her and I said, hi, can I say you remember me? I said, no, from where? Oh, my boyfriend had gotten killed. I said, oh, okay. I said, and she gave me the boyfriend got killed. I said, okay, what's up? How you doing? My landlord put me when I have to go. And I said, Mom, I am so sorry. I said, nah, I say, be honest, you're like one child, maybe two, I might get find someone to accept. I might even take you in here. I said, but 5 children, I don't know. I am so sorry. So I call around to my other partners, my other angel sisters and brothers. See if they could accept and they couldn't accept or whatever. And before I could even call the next morning or whatever, I said, if you need groceries, come to my office for groceries. I said, but I don't have anything. I don't have no space available. And she put up something on Facebook about she's supposed to be the founder of murder victims and I come to her for help or whatever. Someone told me about the post. And she didn't call my name, you know. When she said a murder victim organization, only me and Nassau, Bahamas have a murder victim organization. So I called her. So I said to her, I said, how you doing? I said, I know you're going through a lot right now. I said, it's being evicted from my apartment with your children. I said, it's very hard during this time. I said, but I want to just jog your memory a minute. I said, when your baby died at Gordon Kill, you said this year, right? I said, supported you and assisted you the best way I could. Yes, Mom. I said, okay. So I said, that time when you had one child. I said, but 4 children later, and you're pregnant now, and you come to me, and this time you come to me after I haven't seen you in how long, or heard about you in how long, and the one time I can't help you, you go put up stuff on Facebook about me. I said, why, when I was helping you, why you just said a lady from the Murder Victim Organization has been truly a blessing to you? Why you put that part up? I said, why you want to run with the negative mind? I said, don't do that to me. Oh, Miss Gibson, I'm sorry. I said, no. I said, I understand you. Sorry, no. I understand you depressed. I said, because all this us depressed. I said, know how bad I felt. No, I couldn't accommodate you. Didn't have the one to accommodate you. I said, you know how bad I felt?
I know.
I said, but I can't blame nobody for not helping me to help you. I got to thank God in the position I am to help who I can help. I know she apologized to me or whatever the case is, but I just say that's just how people go. People have this entitlement spirit on them where they feel like you obligated. And I said to myself, yo, I know. I said to myself, now I asked. I said, did you go to your pastor? No, ma'am. Did you go to your MP? No. Did you go and set up to your prime minister's office? No. Okay, so these are people who's designed to help you all. I'm obligated or compelled to help you. I do it because of goodness of my heart. This is the thanks I get. This I send in my mind now, you know. And I say, no, when a person already going, you don't finish dig them down or beat them down. But that's just how people is. The one time you say no is a problem. The one time.
I think that's just sometimes human nature, you know. All the good you do goes along with you and goes down with you, and the one bad thing you do, you know, stays with you forever. But Candy, we have a caller on the line, and I went the whole show and didn't get to the telephone. So I'd like to take that call at least. We could see what our caller is saying. So hello, good afternoon. You're on the Hit Back.
Hi, good afternoon, Heather and Candy. Heather, you've done a wonderful job on the show. It's the first time I've heard you host. I don't know if it's your first time, but you've done a wonderful job and such a pivotal topic at this time. And Candy, I was so glad it was you on this first show. That I'm getting my calls answered. I just wanted to say live on the air. You've heard me say it before in another place, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for you and for the work that you do. You are very, very selfless. I think that you are one of the angels amongst us, and I hope one day you will get your halo. I know they gave you some award the other day, and I know now corporate sponsors are coming, thank God, but I hope one day you will get further recognition by this country for the work that you do. So I just wanted to say that to you again. You do work that you filled a gap that I think nobody even realized was missing, just the compassion to persons that suffer the kind of tragedy and the intervention that you have given to others. So God bless you and strengthen you as you continue your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that call, you know, and I have to agree. You know, you're one of those unsung heroes, and that's precisely why, like I started out, you're very special to me, very close to my heart, and I wouldn't have my first show without you being that person. So let's see, we have another caller trying to get in. So good afternoon, caller. Thank you for calling the Hit Back.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Okay, I listened to you all, both of you all, and I would like to find out the lady by the name of Candy.
Yes, Candy Gibson. She's the director of Family of All Murder Victims. That's our guest. Yes, sir.
Oh, she just helped murder victims?
Oh, no, sir. Candy, would you like to speak to the caller? If you just help murder victims. But throughout the show, she would have been talking about all the other persons that she's helped. But we could, as we get ready to close, you could recap some of the persons that you help and how people can help you help people, Candy.
I know we don't just help murder victims. Our motto is making life easier for those in need and hurting amongst us. And so that carries a wide range of persons needing help. We try our best to assist them the best way we can. We even find ourselves helping the perpetrators, the accused. Like I say, I don't judge nobody because God don't judge me. And if someone comes here for help, my job is to assist them.
All right, I think we have time for one more call before we get ready to go. Good afternoon, caller. Thank you for calling the Hit Back. Hi, caller.
Hello?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Find out concerning Candy, I heard you saying that she is a part of an organization that assists people.
Right.
Yes.
Indeed. So if you need to reach Family of All Murder Victims, Candy, would you like to give out your direction and your telephone number? You know, persons who may need to reach you to request assistance. Caller, we'll put the information out there so that you can make contact. If it's her in particular that you're trying to reach, you can do that at their offices on Nassau Village. So, Candy, can you just give everyone again your location and number before we close it out?
Our location is number 68, Alexander Boulevard, Nassau Village. Our office number is 603-4141. My cell is 424-8953.
Candy, it's been a pleasure to have you here with me. I know we aim to talk about how NGOs and, civic organizations, how they are helping people in society and how we are navigating, through the pandemic and getting adjusted to a new life. But I think what you've done for me today, and I'm sure for other persons out there, just reminded us that it's each one of us that has to play our part. We have to be the person that gets up there and be our brother's keeper all day, every day. We are the ones that have to be there, and we are the ones that have to bring and lift people up in their circumstance. And so that's, I think, the takeaway that I want to leave with everyone listening. What exactly is it that we are doing to be our brother's keeper? As we navigate into the new normal and we learn that we're going to live with the pandemic, how are we helping persons who have not been to work in 2 years? How are we helping our neighbors who may not have been able to log into school because they don't have Wi-Fi or they're not able to access the virtual platform? Instead of asking perhaps what the NGOs and what civil society can do, I think I end with a better question. What is it that each one of us can do, to help us go through this stage? So I thank you, Candy. It's a pleasure having you on this, my first time, and hope to see everyone here next week, Wednesday, same time, same place, 96.9. Thank you.
This is Guardian Radio.